Coming to you from a studio somewhere out there, it's Enough Already Radio with Fingers Malloy and Tracy L. Connors.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to another Enough Already. I'm your peppy host, Fingers Malloy. Tracy L. Connors, the co-host of this lovely show, is here as well. Hi, Tracy.
Hi, Fingers.
How is Tracy L. Connors this Mother's Day weekend?
I'm fantastic.
Happy Mother's Day to all you mothers out there. I want to say something nice and inspirational and thoughtful, but I'm me, so I have nothing. I live in a black cloud. But happy Mother's Day.
Yes, absolutely.
Did you do anything for your mom?
I called her.
Yeah?
Yes.
You didn't send her any flowers or
No.
fruit basket?
No.
I mean, you listen to talk radio,
I know.
traditional talk radio, and they have 100 different gifts you can send for your mom on Mother's Day, like a balloon bouquet.
Sherry's Berries.
Yeah, I was about to say the Sherry's Berries, and they aren't a sponsor of the Enough Already podcast yet. But, have you ever had a Sherry's Berry?
I have not.
Holy crap. The strawberries are as big as your fist.
Yeah.
And then they dip them in chocolate. Mm-hmm. And you can get other stuff, too. They'll dip them in, like, Doritos or Skittles, whatever you want.
Cheetos dust.
Yeah. But they're as big as your fist. And, like 5 or 6 of these strawberries are $20.
Wow.
But you can make a meal out of a strawberry. It's like they have to be from like Springfield on The Simpsons. Like there has to be a nuclear reactor involved.
Sounds like straight from Monsanto.
But no, I was just curious because unfortunately my mother passed away back in 2011, and I feel guilty. My dad texted me yesterday and said, "Well, I'm gonna go put flowers on your mom's grave for Mother's Day."
Oh.
I'm like, ugh. I live 300 miles away from where my mom is buried, my hometown. I think that's a generational thing, though, too. I don't know how you feel about it, but yeah, I go visit my mom's grave whenever I'm in town. But I never think I've got to put flowers on a grave. Right. I don't think my mom cares.
Probably not.
At this point. What do you think? You think that's like generational, like our generation and the folks that are younger than us think about decorating grave sites?
I don't know. I've never given it any thought.
You haven't thought about this?
No.
Oh, okay. I thought everybody thought about this.
No, I guess if you have occasion to go visit graves, which I do not, thankfully, at this point.
Okay. Well, have I properly brought the show down?
Yes, you have.
Okay. Well, I will not continue talking about my dead mom. I kid. I mean, I'm not kidding. She's dead, but...
God, you could work at the White House.
Yeah, I wanted to get into that. Why don't we get into that right away?
All right.
Now, you have a story that everyone in the mainstream media seems obsessed with.
Well, it's easy for them to talk about, right?
Yes.
You don't have to have any expertise whatsoever.
Right.
To just trash somebody.
Go ahead.
Well, I'm trying to pull up the story right now.
Oh, I apologize.
That's okay.
I thought you had your stories printed, like you have your own Rush Limbaugh stack of stuff.
Oh, I do have some of that. But this was one that I was just like, oh, this is so stupid and gossipy, I don't even want to talk about it. And then I turned on the Sunday shows this morning, and this is all they're talking about. We have to have whole panels on this. So I guess the deal is that there was a meeting at the White House, and some chick I've never heard of, Kelly Sadler, who's a White House aide who crafts talking points for surrogates, made some remark when they were talking about John McCain and how he's opposing Gina Haspel for the he's opposing her for the CIA.
CIA, yeah.
But this is something that nobody has pointed out. Who cares? He's not in D.C.
Right.
He's not going to vote on this. So whatever. This is what you and I were talking last week about him. Like, he should give up his seat and let the people of Arizona have a representative in the Senate.
Yes.
This is ridiculous. But she made a remark, he's at home or wherever he is sniping at everybody, including Gina Haspel. And Kelly Sadler said he's dying anyway. And I don't know what the rest of the context is. That seems like a random soundbite.
Yeah.
She said, why do we care about what he's saying? He's dying anyway, and he's not in the Senate right now. They're trying to paint it. I don't know who's spinning it from the White House as it was a joke. But it's a statement of fact, and everybody's running around like it's the worst thing that anyone ever said. Oh, my God, how dare they? The man's dying. Well, he's dying, and he's taking shots at everybody right now.
Well, that's okay.
Of course.
Because he's taking shots at all the right people, so it's okay for him to do that.
Of course.
I mean, there are different ways to spin this if he were taking pot shots at the wrong people. And I mean, by the wrong people, I mean who liberals consider wrong people. Then it would be, he's a bitter old dying man. That's what the narrative would be. But since he's taking shots at all the right people, someone that are people that are either affiliated with Trump or Sarah Palin, then it's okay. He can sit back and say whatever he wants.
Well, and a lot of this stems from when Trump jokingly on the campaign trail said he likes his heroes not to have been captured.
Yeah.
Which it's just stunning to me. And Scott Adams got in trouble over the weekend on Twitter for this. Soledad O'Brien tweeted out, like, Trump literally said he doesn't, the whole line about his heroes not being captured. And Scott Adams retweeted her, but said that was literally a joke. And people just came out of the woodwork to attack him.
Yeah.
And she's like, no. And John McCain has said vile, horrible things about lots of people. The wacko birds, garbage, the hobbits,
I wouldn't call those vile, though.
No, but if we're going to play by this standard.
Oh, I know.
It's so offensive.
We talked about this last week. He's every bit the dick Donald Trump is.
Yes. But he's got gravitas or some bullshit.
He has been a media darling for a long time because he's fine with stabbing conservatives in the back. Mm-hmm. Whatever gets him on MSNBC, on CNN, and treated as a maverick. Oh, he's a maverick. Yeah.
Yeah.
First of all, apparently you have to, if you're anyone affiliated with the Trump White House, you cannot make any remarks as if they are off the record or not being recorded. You have to walk around under the understanding that you are being recorded or you're being monitored. I'm not saying that these people are always being recorded or monitored, but anything you say, even if it's at a dinner with one of your colleagues, could end up in Politico or The Hill. Mm-hmm. So, no, I heard that comment and I thought to myself, okay, it's kind of... If it's a joke, it's kind of shitty, but who cares?
Well, it's not a good joke.
Right. I mean, this is, again, another example of people clutching their pearls and grabbing the fainting couch over something that should have just be like, you're shrugging your shoulders going, that's kind of shitty. And you move on with your day. It's not something you talk about on the Sunday shows.
Right. They convened an entire panel on Jake Tapper's show to talk about this.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
It's not something that someone should be fired over. That's the thing that cracked me up. How is this woman not fired?
No, and all they care about is how this got leaked. That seems to be a bigger problem to them. Well, yeah, it's a bit of a problem.
Yeah. Apparently, look, she probably is... I'm not going to say she's not well-liked in the Trump administration. I don't know, but
I've never heard of her.
She must have some enemies, or either that, there are people in the Trump administration who just want to be pals with the media.
Yeah.
And so
that's more likely to deal.
Yeah, they leak the shit out to their buddy at wherever. Where did this first break? Was it the Hill?
Probably.
Yeah.
But who cares? Oh. My God. And just watching this, huge panels convene, and I'm looking at everything else that happened this week. And I'm thinking, why are you devoting any time to this whatsoever?
Because it's a nice distraction. There's nothing new in the Stormy Daniels case. Meanwhile, you got a lot of good news between the unemployment rate, what's going on in North Korea.
The hostages coming home.
Right. Can't talk about that. We have to talk about this.
That the North Koreans have said they're going to have a ceremonial dismantling of their nuclear facility. Nope, not mentioned in the little segments that I saw. And I was at the gym flipping back and forth between CNN, MSNBC, and Fox News.
And they wonder why their reputation is garbage.
Right.
They think it's because Trump says mean things about them.
Yes. And I did get to watch our buddy Brian Stelter.
Oh, Jesus.
Who's now looking like he's in his early 50s. And he convened a panel that were all, the Twitter joke, literally shaking because Trump again threatened to pull people's credentials from the White House pool. It's just like he's made that threat so many times and never done it.
Right.
Just calm down, everyone. And it's live streamed every day.
Yeah. No, it's, they're being treated the way Fox News was treated over the past 8 years, and they don't like it. Mm-hmm. But, look, I know what the McCain family is going through right now. Like I said, my mom died in 2011. She had B-cell lymphoma. And we would go back and forth to the hospital. She'd get her chemo treatments, and she, ended up losing her battle to cancer. But I would be absolutely a hypocrite if I sat around and got upset if someone made a joke about cancer, or if someone said, "Oh, fingers, your mom's dying anyway," to someone else, in a private conversation. Mm-hmm. It's a private conversation. Tracy, you and I have private conversations all the time. We say mean things about people.
That's not true. We would never.
I find it very hard to believe that Meghan McCain has never said anything mean about someone privately.
Oh, please. She says mean stuff on the air. And this woman apparently called her and apologized. And then I see Amanda Carpenter sitting on Jake Tapper's set being all self-righteous and not acknowledging that had happened. I think it was this guy Caputo, who's the one that flipped out a couple weeks ago. I guess his life has been destroyed for helping the Trump campaign. Mm-hmm. But he was on the panel, and he's the only one that kind of pushed back like this.
Yeah.
But, the family should be spending time with him, not dealing with this. Well, I checked this morning. Meghan McCain she's been on The View every day still.
Yeah.
Amanda Carpenter's presenting it as if, Meghan McCain's having to leave her father's side to go take a phone call from this woman. How dare she? God, these people. And I don't know if they actually care, if they just do it for television purposes.
Shit, come on. 95% of the people on television, the talking heads, only give a shit about themselves and nobody else.
Yeah. Well, I'm getting their TV time. Will you come on and be offended about this? Sure. What happened? Oh, yeah. I'm outraged.
Faux compassion over all this. I don't know. Maybe we're different, Tracy.
It could be.
I could tell a joke about anything.
Mm-hmm.
Can I tell you a quick story going back to my whole mom thing? So my mom passes away, and I had made a commitment to go to a conference in Denver a week later. And I thought, well, I made the commitment to go. What am I going to do? Am I just going to sit at home? Mm-hmm. Or can I go and have a distraction? So I went, and I went to Denver. And over the course of this conference, we were interviewing people for the Snark Factor. And one of the people I interviewed was Steven Crowder, comedian Steven Crowder, Louder with Crowder. Mm-hmm. We're watching a movie in the back of the room. I'm standing there with Duke, Thomas LeDuc of FTR Radio, and Crowder, and we're saying, we're talking to him, hey, can you do the interview in like 10 minutes? He said, fine. And he asked me how I'm doing. And I said, oh, I'm okay. And Duke said to me, you can tell him, And I said, well, my mom passed away last week. He's like, oh, that's terrible. My condolences. Well, thank you. Yada, yada, yada. 10 minutes later, 15 minutes later, we go do the interview. And I'm setting up. And over the course of me setting up, I'm having some small talk with Crowder. I said something, and he pulled a your mom joke on me. Just a reflex, because, people do like your mom. Mm-hmm. And I froze in my tracks. I turned around and I said, I just told you my mom fucking died a week ago. And you could see the blood drain from his face. And I go, dude, I'm just fucking with you. I started laughing. And then again, I said, I mean, she's dead. Don't get me wrong, but it's just a joke. Calm down. He's like, right. Oh, okay. I mean, some people wouldn't joke about stuff like that, but what are you going to do? There are certain ways you deal with problems. And I have always dealt it with, tried to have a sense of humor about things. Now, if this woman from the White House would have said that to Meghan McCain to her face, well, you're a dick. Yeah. But this is a private conversation. Supposed to be a private conversation. She's in a meeting at the White House. Mm-hmm. You're thinking that this shouldn't be something that gets out into the public.
Right. And you've got a senator who's not been into the Senate since December, but he's sniping from the sidelines about an administrative appointee that he's not even going to vote on.
Right.
So I would imagine the tensions are pretty high and people are pissed and they're saying stuff. But who cares?
It's getting to the point where I think that Trump could nominate Lindsey Graham for that position, and John McCain would be against it.
Potentially. He's been against everything that Trump has done.
Yeah. Because he's bitter.
He is.
He should have been president of the United States. And then,
if he had only picked Lieberman.
Right?
Yeah.
But he lost, and now you've got this complete idiot who the wacko birds helped get into the White House. Mm-hmm. And he's president of the United States, and John McCain never got to be president. So he's sitting, and he's bitter, and he's old, and unfortunately, he's dying of cancer. And he's pissed.
Yeah. You'd think you would make peace with all of this.
You'd think. Now, I do feel bad about the cancer, and I feel bad for his family. That's terrible. I know what you're going through. It's awful. I'm sure he's angry. He's what, 83, something like that? How old is McCain?
Something around there.
That means he probably, if he had not gotten this cancer, he probably had at least another 15 years in the Senate.
Oh, easily.
Maybe 20. But I think that he's every bit the jerk Donald Trump is. And, you can hate on me all you want to. Tweet me at Fingers Malloy. Oh, you shouldn't say that he's dying of cancer. Well, hey, you take these, you can't sit back and take these pot shots and think that you're above criticism. You can't, throw you can't criticize me back. I have cancer.
Right.
So, gotcha, Tracy.
Thank you.
What else you have? What else you want to talk about?
There's a ton of stuff going on this week, aside from that silly sniping. So, like we touched on it, we had 3 hostages returned home in the middle of the night, which was quite cool and a good sign.
Do you think they timed it out This was funny. I guess the plane landed right at 3 a.m. Mm-hmm. Or right around 3 a.m.
Sure, if you say so. I was sleeping.
Oh. There were a lot of people making reference to the 3 a.m. phone call ad that Hillary ran. Just wondering. I mean, right. Once they got the hostages to Alaska, you think they could have maybe put them up in a hotel for the night and then got them back home? I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know why that's the 3 a.m., but, I guess get them home as fast as you possibly can.
I mean, the Obama administration would have had them show up at noon and then had a marching band and all the cameras out. People aren't watching at 3 a.m.
Nope. And I watch my favorite cartoon show every morning. Morning Joe.
Yeah.
And I turned it on the morning after that when I got up like 7 or something like this. I watched for over 40 minutes and there was not a peep about the hostages coming home.
Amazing.
You think that would be the biggest news? I remember when they brought Bergdahl home.
Right.
Oh, we were having a ceremony in the Rose Garden and all sorts of things.
That's why, I think that Trump really blew an opportunity there. He should have done the whole Barack Obama treatment instead of bringing him in at 3 a.m.
Oh.
But it seems like he doesn't care about that stuff. I mean, and part of me understands it because it's not like he's going to get a positive reaction from the press anyway.
Right. No, and I think it was the New York Times that had a story out like, where the hell is Mike Pompeo with this Iran deal getting torn up? What's he doing? He's in North Korea picking up hostages. You dum-dums, you knew that. And if you didn't know that, shame on you. But I'm interested to see if anybody will interview these guys. Two of them were recently taken. Mm-hmm. I guess they were both professors that were teaching at the University of Pyongyang. I don't know why you'd ever agree to go there.
If you see that ad on Craigslist, you just pass right on by.
Right. And then the other guy was taken in like 2015 or something.
Wow.
So we never heard about that during the Obama administration. Or I don't recall ever hearing about this.
No.
Yeah, they're teaching at Pyongyang University of Science and Technology.
Wow. What were they teaching?
It's a satellite campus of University of Phoenix.
They're teaching them AM radio over at the Science and Technology Center.
Yeah, ham radios and Morse code.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, there was, I did see a clip, I don't have it in front of me, unfortunately, where during the landing of the Air Force One and the hostages getting off the plane, CNN was doing a run-up to that event, and someone suggested on a panel that they were doing this as a distraction from Stormy Daniels.
Of course. They can't just be happy that these people have been released.
No.
It's got to be a distraction. That's why we went and did it. It's not part of a larger diplomatic scheme to build up a good rapport.
Well, the other thing, too, is on the right, people need to temper their enthusiasm a little bit about this because this has been kind of a common theme for North Korea. They'll release some hostages to try to curry favor with the West.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-oh.
I know, they're coming for me.
Is it the North Koreans?
Yes.
And then things break apart again, once the North Koreans get a little bit of what they want. So
I don't think it's wrong to celebrate the return of these guys.
Absolutely not.
But I have to laugh. I believe it was on my cartoon show, but I can't remember. They were talking about how this is all happening so fast. I don't know, maybe we should slow this down. Like, there's not a lot of people with diplomatic tenure involved. Oh, my God. somebody came in and was just like, well, this is BS the way that you guys do it. To build up years and years and years of screwing around. You just got to go right at these guys. And look, remember, he was going to blow up the world this time last year with his fire and fury.
Right.
And now they're meeting in Singapore next month.
No, we need to have diplomats negotiate whether the table should be a rectangle or oval table.
Right, and what kind of gifts. How not to offend, how to feed the fish correctly.
Right.
Do you remember that? Was that
Yeah.
Was that Japan?
That was Japan.
Yeah. Oh, God, we almost had an international incident. Oh, wait a minute. Abe did the same thing. No.
Oh.
It's just because these people are all part of that. Everybody in the press is married to somebody that's a bureaucrat or in one of those agencies. So they want to keep their family members employed, keep their connections going.
Well, and then we also, this is how ridiculous everything has gotten. I don't know what the marriage is like between Donald and Melania. But
do you stay up late at night worrying about it?
I was up till 3 a.m. last night just thinking about it. But I love the whole hand-holding watch that the media does.
Oh, yeah.
Are they holding hands here? Are they not holding hands? Oh, Melania kind of swatted Donald Trump's hand away from hers. Oh, my goodness. What's going to... I'm old enough to remember the Clinton marriage.
That time that they danced on the beach.
Oh, wasn't that a beautiful... Thank God there was a properly placed photographer there to capture that moment.
That spontaneous, unscripted moment.
I think the American people were clamoring to see both Bill and Hillary in a swimsuit.
Yes. Remember his little jogging shorts? Oh, but I did think it was interesting that she went out to the airport with him. When I saw that, I thought, I don't know if Michelle Obama would have gotten out of bed and gotten dressed up to go to the airport at 3 a.m.
Oh, I'm telling you, that never would have happened at 3 a.m. under the Obama administration. They would have landed at noon.
Mm-hmm.
The president would have greeted them on the plane and from the plane, and they would have had a press conference right there at Andrews Air Force Base or at the White House.
Mm-hmm. Rose Garden ceremony.
Right. 3 a.m.
Oh. Yeah, wasn't there a thing he wouldn't get down into the office until like 9:30?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, I seem to remember something like that. Could be totally in my head, but...
Hell, Trump may not even have gone to bed yet.
Right.
Or he went to bed at 9 and he got up at 1, you know? Who knows? Who cares?
Who cares? Right.
I just hope that on the way over to pick up the hostages, nobody said anything mean about anyone.
Right.
In the limo. Holy
and it all
shit.
starts at the top, you know. Yeah. Trump is brash. Imagine the people in his administration are too.
Oh, I'm sure in private moments, Rahm Emanuel never said anything mean about anyone.
No. Or Hillary Clinton.
Oh, no.
Never. It's known for throwing stuff at people.
Oh, my God. No, that's what we joked about during the campaign. On any given day, what's the over-under on how many coffees Hillary Clinton threw in an intern's face? Kidding me?
Now, I wish I could remember what it was that she threw at Bill that hit him in the face and he had to wear sunglasses. And I think he had to go to the podium in the briefing room and he had a cut on his face.
Well, that'll happen.
It's a Dick Morris story, I believe, so who knows? But
I was just talking to someone about, I do that other show, The Snark Factor,
yes. Mm-hmm.
On Wham Talk 1600. And somehow the subject of manicures came up. And I didn't know this, but did you know that there are, you can get your feet submerged in water and then they put fish?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
It's a pedicure, not a manicure.
Oh, yeah, excuse me. Yeah, pedicure.
Come on.
Yeah, right? Sorry, I'm easily confused about the nails. Yeah, the pedicure. You knew about this? This is a thing?
Mm-hmm. It's been around for years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. They eat the dead skin off your feet.
Oh, good God.
I know, it's sick.
Is this an LA thing, or can you get this done in Pennsylvania?
I'm sure there's some place in PA where I could get it done.
Oh, well, anyway, the subject came up about that, and then I just started talking about how I imagined Dick Morris sitting outside peering in the window.
Yes, the known foot fetishist.
Ugh. Wasn't there a thing about, and this goes back to that story, I don't know if that it was the same incident but in Dick Morris's book, he talked about looking at Hillary's feet.
Oh, no, I don't know about that.
Oh, I thought he had a thing for Hillary's feet.
Oh, gross.
Right?
Ugh.
Well, people with foot fetishes are sick to begin with. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I don't even like touching my own feet, let alone somebody else's. Dick Morris is a sick, sick puppy.
Allegedly.
No, well, is it? Do we go with allegedly at this point? What, didn't he get arrested? It was something about being with a prostitute.
Oh, I don't know. You're gonna have to Google that.
You know what? I don't care that much. I'll just throw allegedly in that and move on.
Yeah. Cover our ass.
Yeah.
We don't have the money to hire Michael Avenatti to defend us.
Or the Detroit Lions private investigators. We don't have the money for that either.
Oh, they've hired PIs.
Well, they have to look into their head coach.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to get into that, or we could talk about something else. I know you're not a sports fan.
Oh, sometimes. I like playoffs. I'll watch those.
Well, apparently, Matt Patricia was hired to be the head coach of the Detroit Lions.
Okay, that's a football team?
Yes.
Kidding,
My favorite football team.
Mm-hmm, I've seen the tattoos.
Yes. And so he was, before the head coach of the Detroit Lions, he had spent 14 years with the New England Patriots. You're familiar with their work, right?
Correct.
So the Detroit Lions hire him because, Detroit had hired one of the pro player personnel people from the Patriots to be their general manager. And so they're just bringing over Patriots people like crazy.
Oh, it kind of makes sense, right?
Right. And he actually wanted to hire this guy 2 years ago, but he didn't have the opportunity to. So he hired him over the off season. The Detroit News breaks a story last week that Matt Patricia was indicted on one count of sexual assault during a spring break trip to Texas when he was 21 years old. According to prosecutors, they had 5 witnesses that were ready to testify against Patricia and his friend, who was also charged with they allegedly broke into this girl's hotel room and sexually assaulted her. The charges were dropped after the victim stated that she didn't want to go through the stress of a trial. So the charges were dropped. Matt Patricia moved on with his life, became, he was an engineer for a little while, then decided to become a coach. Coached with I believe the Syracuse Orangemen, then he eventually made his way to the New England Patriots. He was last defensive coordinator at the New England Patriots before he was hired to be head coach of the Detroit Lions this year. And then this story breaks, and all hell broke loose, Tracy.
Oh.
On the internets. Because he was indicted for sexual assault. And he was hired to be the coach of the Detroit Lions. So, of course, the Me Too movement on Twitter went nuts. How could this happen? People were outraged. There were Detroit Lions fans talking about boycotting the team.
Really?
Yeah.
Men are going to boycott a football team over
well, men
charges that got dropped?
Yeah, sensitive feminist men who...
So men who weren't watching football to begin with.
Right. Probably went out that day and bought a Detroit Lions jersey to burn it on camera. But so Matt Patricia comes out, has a press conference the next day, says, "Hey, I didn't do it. I'm innocent. I was innocent then. I'm innocent now. I'm grateful that the legal process went through the way it was supposed to, and I am innocent, but I do regret that I didn't have the ability to defend myself. Because apparently, and this may shock you, Tracy, I'm not a lawyer.
No.
Right. And I'm not a lawyer in Texas specifically.
Okay.
But apparently this indictment, it's like a blind grand jury where the prosecutor goes in, presents his or her case to the grand jury. The defense, they're not even aware this is going on. So there's no way for Matt Patricia to defend himself. And then the prosecution gets to present its case. The grand jury gets to decide if they think there's enough there, and it only has to be 51% certainty that there's enough there to go to trial. And then you only need 9 out of 12 on the grand jury to say go to trial. And then at that point, if the prosecutor is successful, you're indicted. So this cat didn't have the opportunity to defend himself at all and bring up his own witnesses, present his alibi. But meanwhile, all this is playing out 22 years later on social media.
Of course. And what day did this story break?
Tuesday, I believe.
Huh. So I'm trying to think if that's the same day that the Schneiderman story broke.
Oh, I don't know. I believe the Schneiderman story broke before the Patricia thing, if I'm not mistaken. But so now there was all this optimism coming out of Allen Park, which was where the Lions are headquartered. They got a new coach. They had a decent draft. Everyone is excited. And then the Detroit News digs up this old indictment, which is surprising to me that it was buried for this long. He was a member of the New England Patriots for 14 years, and he was a defensive coordinator for the last 3 or 4. And nobody dug this up. Nobody found it. And then as soon as he becomes the head coach of the Detroit Lions, somebody finds it. So it's going to be interesting to see. This weekend they had a rookie mini camp, and normally it's open to the media. The Detroit Lions, they closed off the camp to media. They weren't allowing any interviews with any of the players because they're just trying to control the narrative out of Allen Park that everyone's moving on. And but eventually these reporters are going to get to these players and they're going to ask all these questions. So you would think they would just rip the Band-Aid off.
Yeah, they should.
But they're doing their best damage control in Detroit over this. So it's going to be interesting to see how this unfolds. He is going to get slaughtered.
Yeah.
Going to, Chicago, Green Bay, any away game. It's going to be a mess. The signs, the chants.
Jesus.
And all this over a case that's 22 years old that was dropped. So, I mean, I don't, who knows what happened. He may be guilty. But without all the facts, you've just got to go along with innocent until proven guilty.
Absolutely.
So, but that's not how we do things in 2018 now, is it?
No, it's not.
So what do you want to talk about? I've taken up too much of our time talking about football.
Well, we could pivot either to the Eric Schneiderman story from that.
Well, yeah, let's do that.
All right. And I just pulled it up. It came out on Monday.
Oh, see, there you go.
The story broke. Ronan Farrow and Jane Mayer over at the New Yorker. And Ronan Farrow is the one, if everybody will remember, that published the blockbuster report about Harvey Weinstein that started all of this.
Yeah.
And I heard today on Reliable Sources with Brian Stelter that Ronan's got a book coming out.
Oh?
Well, Ronan was working on the Harvey Weinstein story when he was working at NBC, and NBC punted the story.
Yeah, I was going to say, they told him to bury it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They told him it's not ready yet. So he's writing a book about what went on.
Well, probably,
I guess, behind the scenes.
Listen, and I don't want to veer too off the path here, but NBC probably wanted to stay away from that because, let's face it, they knew about Matt Lauer.
Well, speaking of, they just exonerated themselves.
Right.
They did an internal investigation and found out nobody knew.
Come on.
Telling me nobody knew he had a button on his desk? Who put the button there? You think Matt Lauer installed a button?
Matt Lauer got on YouTube and then found out how to install it. And then he ran over to the Home Depot and got himself a button and a lock.
Yeah.
He did it all himself.
Nobody knew. Nobody in HR, nobody in senior management, nobody had any clue. Give me a friggin' break.
You know what kills me about this whole thing when it comes to Matt Lauer is I cannot believe he would have to do stuff like this. This has to be going back to fetishes. This has to be a whole fetish about power and influence to dominate over a woman like that, because he's Matt freaking Lauer. You know, before he was losing all of his hair, women would remark on how attractive he was.
I was not one of them, but continue.
But, okay, he was at least good looking enough to be on the Today Show, and you have to believe in New York City, Matt Lauer, he probably wouldn't have a hard time getting ass.
Probably not.
He's rich. He's on TV. Why do you have to go to all that trouble of watching the YouTube video, running to Home Depot, and installing the lock that you...
Surreptitiously, right?
Yeah, I don't get it.
He's in there in the middle of the night.
Right?
Setting that whole thing up so nobody else knew.
It has to be some sort of power fetish or something. I mean, I wouldn't think that it would be difficult for Matt. Why would Matt Lauer have to go through all of that to get ass?
If only we could ask him.
Right.
Someday, fingers.
So anyway, my point is NBC had to have known all that ahead of time, so that has to be one of the reasons why they told Ronan Farrow to bury the story. Between that and, of course, Harvey Weinstein was incredibly powerful, and everyone was afraid of him. Mm-hmm. Except for Ronan.
Yeah, Ronan's not afraid. Ronan's not afraid of Schneiderman either. So this Eric Schneiderman was the Attorney General of the state of New York, and he's a big Me Too movement guy, which is just so delicious.
Right.
Yeah, I love this. Everybody, oh, what a champion, what a hero. And he's dating all these women, and 4 of them spoke to Ronan and told him about similar incidents where they were getting smacked, choked, demeaned, belittled, etc., by Mr. Me Too.
Which isn't a problem if they're in on it.
Right. And he's kind of maintaining that he released a statement. This story comes out, and I think he resigned within 3 hours.
Yeah. It was lightning quick.
Yeah. And so the statement he put out, and this has since been added to the original story reporting from Farrow, is, in the privacy of intimate relationships, I have engaged in role-playing and other consensual sexual activity. I have not assaulted anyone. I have never engaged in non-consensual sex, which is a line I would not cross. Okay. Well,
listen, I'm sure that these women... Well, I didn't read all the statements. Non-consensual sex is one thing.
Right.
Maybe they agreed to have sex with you. Maybe they didn't agree to the choking.
No, and that's exactly what this is all about. And it's amazing to me. It's sad to me that these women, one of them is named Manning Barish. It says she was romantically involved with him from the summer of 2013 until New Year's Day 2015. And she was a progressive type. I think she started out working for MoveOn.org. Yeah. She became a blogger and a political activist when her younger brother was deployed to Iraq. And she worked with groups like Move On, it says. So she was married to somebody else. She got divorced. She's a single mom living in New York and running around in Democrat politics circles. And she meets Schneiderman. And they start dating. And she said she could see the controllingness in him come out pretty early on. She had a tattoo somewhere, I think on her wrist or something. And he was like, oh, you could never be my wife if you had this tattoo on your wrist. So she goes and gets the damn tattoo removed.
Holy shit. Why? Well, I would be like, well, see ya.
Yeah, it was on her wrist. There we go. It wasn't appropriate, he said, if she were to become the wife of a politician.
Oh, please.
I know, and then she goes and does it.
It's not 1918, it's 2018.
Right. And it's... Oh God,
can you imagine a man saying that to you?
No. And then going and doing it. And she says the process of having it removed was painful and expensive. So she paid for it too? I'd be like, if you want me to get rid of this, you're paying for that. So anyway, so he says it goes on about their relationship. About 4 weeks after they started dating, they became physically involved. Schneiderman, and she says he grew violent. One night they were in the bedroom of his Upper West Side apartment, still clothed but getting ready for bed, and lightly baiting each other. Mm-hmm. And she recalls it. He called her a whore.
Oh, that's lovely.
Oh. And she talked back. They had both been drinking. Apparently, he was a big drinker. Every night of the week. A couple bottles of wine and some whiskey, which God love him. If he can get up and go to work, whew. They had both been drinking, and her recollection of their conversation is blurry, but what happened next remains vivid. Schneiderman, she says, backed her up to the edge of his bed, and then, quote, all of a sudden he just slapped me, open-handed and with great force across the face, landing a blow directly onto my ear. Yeah. I don't know if you've ever been hit about the head like that and your ear just rings.
Yes, I have. It's not pleasant.
No. And I can't remember if she's the one or one of the other women that ended up having reoccurring issues with the ear and like bleeding and stuff like this. And two different of these women that have come forward had gone to doctors about this. So there is evidence that, there were injuries that were sustained. So she continues, it was horrendous. It just came out of nowhere, and my ear was ringing. I lost my balance and fell backward onto the bed. I sprang up, but at this point, there was very little room between the bed and him. And I got up to try to shove him back or take a swing, and he pushed me back down. He then used his body weight to hold me down, and he began to choke me.
Jesus.
Yeah, the choking was very hard. It was really bad. I kicked. In every fiber, I felt I was being beaten by a man. So she finally freed herself and got back on her feet. She said, I was crying and I was in shock. She recalls shouting, "Are you crazy?" And to her astonishment, Schneiderman accused her of scratching him. This guy has some balls. At one point, she can't remember if it was at this moment or in a later conversation, he told her, quote, hitting an officer of the law is a felony. Meanwhile, he's off getting awards at these Me Too dinners. And he, it says in February, I'm jumping around in this article, but it says in February, 4 months after the first stories about Weinstein broke, because Weinstein, a lot of these incidents happened in New York. Mm-hmm. And so who would be the one that would go after him to prosecute him? That would be the Attorney General of New York, Mr. Eric Schneiderman. So 4 months after the first stories about Weinstein broke, Schneiderman announced that his office was filing a civil rights lawsuit against him. And at a press conference, he denounced Weinstein, saying, quote, "We have never seen anything as despicable as what we've seen right here." Yep.
Wow. This whole show this week is a 50 Shades of Grey knockoff.
Yeah. No, it's bad. This is just gross. And the fact that these women that are involved in this story are, not, I mean, they run in elite circles. They're bright. They seem well educated and successful. And the fact that they're putting up with this stuff is upsetting. She dated him for a year and a half after this happened.
We're going to get to another girl brain story here in a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah. You need to explain girl brain to me again, because I don't get any of this.
I can't explain this either. I've never encountered anything like this, and if I did, it's hauled off and slapped me, you better believe that my first instinct would just be to punch back and then get the hell out of there. And then I understand that it's a little bit intimidating. He's the Attorney General of the state of New York, and he's running around as Mr. Champion of all the women's. But, and it occurs to these women throughout, like, oh my God, if he was doing this to me, he's probably doing it to other people, which is the same stuff as the Weinstein thing.
Right.
And so at a certain point, you got to go to the cops.
It sounds like she was completely caught off guard by all this behavior. I mean, usually these type of people will say, look, from what I hear, I like to, get a little rough. Mm-hmm. You know, maybe a little choking, maybe a little slapping around. This sounds like this is totally out of the blue.
Yes.
With no warning.
Every one of these instances, it's just like all of a sudden, whack. I mean, you got to test the waters a little bit and have the conversation that you just had. Like, hey.
You know what'd be cool?
Huh. Yeah. I just smack the shit out of you right now.
You don't mind, do you? I mean, you talk about that over dinner.
Yeah.
Hey, later. Thought I'd smack you around a little bit.
Oh.
Maybe choke you. What do you think? You don't just do it.
No. No.
I mean, what happens if something really, really goes wrong?
Yeah.
And at least you have, consent ahead of time that you have in writing that it was okay for you to choke and slap.
Well, and a lot of this movement and, the precursors to this, I feel like, was all the campus sexual assaults. They've got all those consent rules now.
Right. You have to fill out a form in triplicate, get it notarized. You would think
if you're the top law enforcement official in the state of New York, you might be a little bit more careful about this. But that just shows he's a sick dude that can't control himself.
He thinks he's above the law.
Well, he is the law.
Yeah.
He's telling her after he just beat her, smacked her, and choked her. Hitting an officer of the law is a felony. So
I mean, to hit someone so hard that they have like vertigo for a couple of weeks.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
And it's so sad. And she dated Salman Rushdie, this woman Manning.
Wow.
Yeah, and she called him and told him about it. And I don't know what you do. I've never really had a friend that's been in a situation like this.
You don't keep dating them.
Obviously not. But it's amazing that she stayed with him. So she says in here, her ear bothered her for months. It often felt painful and clogged, and she kept hearing odd gurgling sounds. And once blood trickled out, reaching down to her collarbone.
Good God. To her collarbone?
Yeah. So eventually she sought medical help.
That's not a slap. That's a punch.
Yeah. I don't know. You can rupture an eardrum like that. That's got to be what it is.
I've ruptured an eardrum before. Have you ever ruptured an eardrum?
Yeah.
I've never had blood trickle down to my collarbone.
No.
That's crazy.
No, and so she did go to a doctor, and the doctor said she found dried blood in her ear. And but she didn't tell the doctor, of course. She said she might have heard it with a Q-tip, which is how I punctured my eardrum. Yeah. So it's just so sad.
Well, speaking of girl brain, can we get to my favorite story of the week?
Yes.
I'm sure that this has been all over social media. Okay, so I'm sure you've already heard about this woman, but maybe you haven't heard from this woman. There was a woman in Arizona, maybe?
Yes.
Who went on a date with a guy. And it must have went well, Tracy.
Mm-hmm.
Because she sent him a thank you text message.
Okay.
And then another one.
Mm-hmm.
And then another one. And another one. And then another one and another one and another one. 65, wait for it, 1,000 text messages this woman sent to this dude after one date. It must have been one hell of a date. Can you imagine?
Mm-hmm.
You pick up a gal and you take her to Applebee's and you let her order the mozzarella sticks.
Ooh.
And then after that, you go to see I Feel Pretty, the new Amy Schumer movie.
Mm-hmm.
And you say goodnight. I'll call you sometime maybe. But you realize during the Applebee's dinner that bitch be crazy. So you don't call her, but she texts you and then texts you again. Text. 65,000 text messages. Okay, so this is girl brain to the 10th power.
Yes,
Tracy.
yes. This is the ultimate girl brain. And the funny thing is, and I know that you don't watch shows about stuff.
No.
But when you sent me this story and I'm reading about it and watching her crazy ass, there's a character on Orange is the New Black that is this girl.
Really?
Yeah, her name on the show is Lorna Morello, and she's in jail for doing this. But through the whole, I don't think you find out until like the second season, because you slowly find out everybody's arrest story throughout the show.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if it was the second, it might have been in the first season or the second season. But the whole time she's talking about how her and her Christopher, I think his name was, and she's got this funny New York accent. And, oh yeah, we're getting married and all this stuff. And then you come to find out that she's in jail for stalking this guy who wanted nothing to do with her. But she's running around the prison telling everybody, oh, they're getting married and, you know.
Well, listen, I give her credit. There's no quit in her.
No, and it's funny because she even looks like the actress that plays the character on the show.
Wow. But unfortunately, some of these text messages, this may surprise you, turned into threats.
No.
Yeah, according to 12 News in Arizona, some of these 65,000 text messages included threats that she wanted to wear his body parts and bathe in his blood.
That's so hot. She should get together with Eric Schneiderman.
I was going to say, which may be a turn on to the Attorney General of New York. So this is, okay, you think that's a bizarre story.
Mm-hmm.
It got even more bizarre because for some reason she held a press conference.
She held the press conference, and this, just for the record, this woman's name is Jacqueline 80s.
Yeah, in case you know, like a little bit of a clinger.
Yeah, 31-year-old.
She may still be single.
Yeah, there you go. People date inmates all the time.
That's true. This was a press conference because there are 4 or 5 microphones in front of her as she's speaking. So this wasn't a one-on-one interview. I'm just gonna start playing this.
Okay.
And it's unfortunate. This is one of the situations where I really wish we did a video podcast,
mm-hmm.
where I could pull this video up so you could see this chick's. We'll just be completely honest. Bitch be crazy.
Yeah. She's
got the crazy eyes. You'll be able to hear some of the crazy in the audio, but you need to find this video to get the full effect of the crazy.
Yeah, I'll throw it up at enoughtalready.us for everyone.
Okay, so here she is. What's her name again?
Jacqueline 80s.
Jacqueline 80s, in her own words. She not only describes her situation with this chap, but she also, God bless her, explains what love really is.
So you're not angry with him?
No. Oh my God, no, I love him so much. I just want to love him so much, that's it. And if he doesn't like it, then I'll go home and I'll love my ex-boyfriend. What am I supposed to do?
Has he blocked you on anything else?
No, he lets me text him and he reads all of it.
Where's home for you?
Here.
You said you want to go
Desert
back
Ridge.
home.
Oh, I call home Miami just because that's where I came from.
Would you go back to Miami?
I would. If he told me to go to Miami, I would. I mean, if he's not going to say, whatever he wants me to do.
Should he be afraid of you?
No.
Oh, no. No.
No, wait a minute. Can you pause that for a second?
I just did.
Okay, I believe that the reason she showed up at his house, right? Broke into his house, was it?
Oh, she's done that. She shows up at work.
And has threatened him. And when she showed up at his house, that's it. They arrested her after finding her taking a bath in his home. And then when they arrested her, there was a butcher knife sitting on the passenger seat of her car. Yeah, this is broken girl brain.
No.
Did he ever warn you that he was going to call the police if you didn't stop texting?
No.
Does any of this seem kind of weird at all?
Why is this woman getting better questions than what are asked at the White House press briefing? That's what I want to know.
Okay.
Because in a lot of people's eyes, they see this as weird.
That's because they're selfish. They've never actually loved someone without.
They're selfish, Tracy.
Yeah. I think, yeah, that's exactly why I think she's weird.
She's giving of herself. All she wanted to do was break into her home and have a nice bath with him.
Actually loved someone without getting anything back. The point of love is to keep giving it. That's that math equation. It's love equals 3.3, which is infinity, times E equals MC squared, which is light. Light is forever. L equals 3. L, if love was a number, it would be 3. So it's infinity times light, which is also infinity. So it's just forward, forever, forward. And if you're selfish, you can't understand that.
Ladies and gentlemen, or just gentlemen, if you ever wanted a peek into girl brain.
This is what goes on in my brain when I'm being quiet on a date.
Well, can you, and I'm going to rewind that. Can you explain the math equation for love for me? Because
I don't know. I was hoping. I was like, I got to go check Neil deGrasse Tyson's Twitter feed and see if he's responded to this, because you'd be like, actually, the equation for love is.
Wow. Oh, this woman is a treasure.
I know. I wonder if you could get a jailhouse interview with her.
Oh, that's a good question. Well, no, I think you should do it, though.
Well, I mean, we can just get her on the phone, right?
Yeah.
I don't actually want to go there.
All right, let's get back to this. Let's go back to the math equation.
Which is light. Light is forever. L equals 3. L, if love was a number, it would be 3. So it's infinity times light, which is also infinity. So it's just forward, forever, forward. And if you're selfish, you can't understand that, because you want something in return. He's not giving me anything in return, and I still love him anyway. That's what love is. That's what the universe is supposed to be made of.
Okay, so we're selfish, Tracy, because we don't understand the love equation.
No, I didn't learn that in math class.
It was love equals 3 squared. I
thought you said 3.3, which is infinity. Okay.
She's trying to throw pi in there somewhere.
We all know that women are bad at math, but this is... Yeah, 3.14 is pi, not 3.3, and pi is not equal infinity. But that's light, and she says, like, MC squared, which is light. And it's like, no.
Oh, it gets better.
Oh.
When's the last time you talked to him?
He sent me a text on a fake number.
Listen closely. Listen closely to this. Apparently, he sent her a text on a fake number, trying to talk to her instead of just texting back.
But I like that it's a fake number.
Yeah.
Was it 3.33 infinity?
Okay, listen closely to this story.
Before I went to his work.
Before she went to his work.
How do you feel about the fact that he got you arrested?
I think it's a good idea. I think it's a good idea. If he thought it was a good idea, that means it's a good idea.
Do you think you're in danger?
No. I think he wanted to make sure I wasn't, or something like that. I don't know.
I mean, you carried a knife with you.
When?
The police that you had a butcher knife.
What? I never had a butcher knife. I had like little flippy knives on my road trip. People try to hurt me. I'm a single girl. I drove across America. I don't carry a butcher knife.
Okay. Do you have a flippy knife? What is a
I have a flippy knife.
It's called a flippy knife?
No, but I have a purse knife.
Yeah, you got a switchblade?
Oh, no. Maybe that's what she means.
Yeah, flippy. It's a flippy knife.
She could mean a butterfly knife.
Yeah, it could be.
Just like a Swiss Army knife. Those are flippy. She's a single girl, though, driving across the country.
Okay, so let's get back to the text message from a fake number.
No.
How do you know he's the one that texted you on the fake number?
Just like I know he's the one that set you guys up here.
Okay. Apparently, this guy sent the reporters up to talk to her.
Uh-huh.
So.
Of course.
Now she's going to talk about how she got this text message from the fake number.
What did he say in that text message?
He said, Nolly, this is Carol. Are you coming to finish your prayer? And I was like, please don't tell me that this is you sending me fake text messages because you want me to come over so you could call the police on me again. But I did it because I knew it was him. He said he was looking for a doctor and a prayer, and I said, nobody else would say that to me but him.
So he decided to send her a text message under the name Carol, and said he needed a prayer and a doctor. So she had to show up at his house or at his place of work.
Of course.
Had to. Duh.
Well, it sounds like she was arrested multiple times, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Or at least had run-ins with the police over him. So this that we just heard isn't the result of the bathtub incident. That happened on April the 8th. But then she started showing up at his work.
Have you ever gone on a first date that made you want to text message someone more than once without a response?
No. And I play by the old school rules. Like, I don't text you first. And I will not call you first.
Wow. So can you kind of let me know what she's thinking?
She's thinking that love is a math equation. 3.33, which is infinity, times light, which is MC squared, equals infinity. And that's how it works.
So, listen. I've always maintained that all women are crazy.
Mm.
It's just the level of crazy is different with each woman. And the women who are less crazy outwardly are the ones that have the filter to be able to filter their crazy out for all the other human beings out there.
Correct.
This woman apparently has no filter for her crazy at all.
No. It's beyond broken. I would like her to get her own show, though. I find her wildly entertaining. I mean, just imagine her interacting in the world every day.
Yeah.
What does that look like? She's 31 years old. She has a driver's license, apparently. I think in another article I read, she was living in Florida and then moved to Arizona for this guy. They'd gone out on one date, and I don't really understand where it took place, if she was already living in Arizona or whatever, but she was a functioning human being, apparently.
Yeah, if you look at the comments, and, who knows if this woman is full of shit, but one woman commented on this video, I went to high school with this girl, and it's a shame that you're seeing this out of the media. She's actually funny, fun to be with, and for the most part doesn't come across like this with other people. And it may all be bullshit, who knows, but trying to blame the media for this as if the media helped her break into the dude's apartment
and text him 65,000 times. I don't know why he didn't just block her. You think he must have, right?
Well, here's the thing. Here's the problem with that. If he really thinks that she's insane, isn't there a part of you that wants to see the text messages? Because if you block her, you don't know if she's still obsessed with you, what she may be up to. Don't respond to it. Say, had a nice time on the date, but I just don't think that we are compatible. Good luck. And then just never respond again. It makes you wonder what happened on that first date.
Yeah. I think it probably went just as you described.
Either that or he banged her.
Maybe.
And she can't get over that he, banged her and then moved on after one date. I mean, maybe they hooked up and he woke up and she was like on a computer looking to adopt them a dog.
No, she was drawing those lines that like tailors do on suits on his body. She could start making the incisions. It's like Buffalo Bill style.
Wow.
No, this chick is crazy, but I think she should get her own show on MSNBC.
Now that I'd watch that over Morning Joy.
Oh yeah,
or AM Joy,
and,
or whatever the hell it is.
I have to tell you, so I was at the gym this morning during my Sunday shows, and I flipped over to MSNBC at 10 a.m. to watch my favorite morning weekend show, AM Joy, and there she pops up to tell me that she's being preempted for soccer.
Soccer?
Uh-huh. I'm like, oh, Joy, say it ain't so. Soccer.
Wow.
Yes.
It's racist.
It is. But I thought that's bizarre. MSNBC is going to show, I think it's Premier League soccer or something like that. And she was wearing a jersey for one of the teams.
Okay, that's weird.
This is weird. And then somebody chucked her a soccer ball. But it reminded me of an article.
Did she write any homophobic things on the soccer ball?
She's like, soccer's mad gay, y'all. I'll be back next week. But the Blaze had a story earlier this week that her ratings were hit hard after the rampant accusations of homophobia.
By the way, I think this week's episode should be called Soccer's Mad Gay, y'all. Go ahead.
Oh, really? I thought it should be love is 3.3 times infinity, which is MC squared, which is just light, really. But, yeah, her ratings took a big hit.
Oh.
So she dipped under, she lost, I think they say, 95,000 viewers.
That's significant.
Yeah, it is. So, what are her ratings look like now? She's hovering around 1 million, and in some cases she dipped below 1 million. Oh, no, excuse me. The total audience fell from 1.28 million to 957,000. That's a pretty big hit.
Yeah, it is.
So that's why they're putting on soccer. I guess there's, ugh. I don't know why anybody watches soccer, but
I don't understand it either. It is a little bit, and I mean a little bit more entertaining to see it in person.
Mm-hmm.
Indianapolis, they have a minor league soccer team here, and it's actually more entertaining to watch the crowd. There's a little section of the crowd that try to be like the European soccer fans and, dance and blow horns and all that stuff. That's kind of fun to watch.
Yeah, we have a team in Philly, the Union, and the fans they call themselves the SOBs, the Sons of Ben.
Okay.
Ben Franklin. And I went to one game, and it is fun. Like, that's fun, the participatory part.
Yeah.
But, and David Beckham, the Union was playing against whatever the hell team he's on. So just hearing everybody taunt David Beckham was fun, too.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, we're an hour and 15 minutes in.
I know.
Do you have anything else you want to talk about, or are we going to wrap this up?
Oh, I did want to talk about the Mueller team getting embarrassed again in court.
Being that no one else is talking about it outside of right-wing media, yeah, we should probably touch on that. I saw the Daily Wire covered it, and so did the Daily Caller. So it's just the dailies that are on this. But the Mueller team was back in court against the Russian troll farm. Mm-hmm. And one of the companies that was indicted is Concord Consulting. And so Concord Consulting showed up in court, what was that, 2 weeks ago or last week? Yes.
And there was a whole back and forth about whether or not they'd been properly served, which is just me telling, I'm serving you fingers. That means you have to show up at court.
Right.
And so the Mueller team saying, well, they weren't properly served. And the guys that are representing Concord Consulting, said, we're here.
Catering.
Well, Concord Catering is also named in the suit.
Yeah.
And the gentleman that owns both of those entities is also named in the suit as an individual. Mm-hmm. So they said, okay, the government was trying to make this argument. Well, we didn't serve them properly. And they say, well, we're here. So we got the message that you wanted us to be here. Let's do this. And push the idea, like, hey, we want a speedy trial. We want discovery and all this stuff. So they were back in court this week on the 9th. Mm-hmm. And the transcript is really funny. So they go back and forth. The lawyer that's representing a Concord LLC is from a Washington, D.C. firm. And I believe you pronounce his name Dublier. Dublier. I can't even say it, but the judge couldn't say it either because in the transcript he says Mr. Dublier, and then his response is Dublier, sir. But they don't give you the height.
It's Michael. It's Michael Bublé.
Yeah,
let's go with that.
Let's call him Counselor Bublé. So, the majority of this was just a back and forth about whether or not Mr. Bublé was also there to represent Concord Catering. Mm-hmm. And so the judge says, what about Concord Catering? The government makes an allegation that there's some association. And I don't mean for you to, do you represent them or not today? And are we arraigning them as well? And Bublé says, we're not. And the reason for that, Your Honor, is I think we're dealing with a situation of the government having indicted the proverbial ham sandwich. That company didn't exist as a legal entity during the time period alleged by the government. If at some later time they show me that it did exist, we would probably represent them. But for the purposes of today, no, we do not, meaning they don't represent them. So then they blah, 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 back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So it's just like, okay, can we move ahead to trial is basically what's going on, or the next phase. Excuse me, because the government is still like, well, we don't really understand if Concord Catering's involved in this or not, and if they've been properly served. And so they come back and ask for it again, clarification, and this is there's some discussion, and I don't understand. We're gonna have to ask an attorney friend what the difference is between representing somebody and being their attorney.
Yeah.
So I don't really understand. That's part of this discussion as well. And so they established that, okay, that Mr. Bublé is here on behalf of Concord LLC, and they're going to enter a plea. So the judge says, we want you to we have to make sure that you understand that this is what's on the line here. It's like a $500,000 fine. And damages, if there's any, that they find, they injured the whatever campaign and to the tune of XYZ. So Bublé says, yep, we're here. We understand the charges, and we're entering a plea of not guilty. And we exercise our right to a speedy trial. So then there's a back and forth that's rather boring. And then they talk about when they're going to get their next court date lined up. So this is really funny. So the attorney for the Mueller team is Ms. Ree.
Misery?
Yes, Misery. So they're setting up what they're calling a control date, which I don't know what the hell that means. So the judge says, okay, what do you want to propose in terms of a control date, which is the next time they're going to meet? But I don't know why it's called that. So Ms. Ree says we could do another 60 days out. So this is all them stalling for time, right? Mm-hmm. Because they never expected anybody to reply to this. Hence, they didn't even send a summons anywhere. Maybe they sent it to Concord Catering instead.
Or Acme and Wile E. Coyote.
Right. So the judge says, okay, well, let's do that. Let's set another control date for the purpose of further update from the government on whether or not it has affected service with regard to the other two defendants. So this is about meeting to figure out if they've served the catering group, which was a legal entity at the time, and the internet research firm or whatever the hell it's called. That's the actual troll farm, I guess. The Internet Research Agency. Mm-hmm. So, will you need a new summons, the judge says, and Ms. Ree says, in all likelihood we will, and we'll contact Chambers for an update and blah, blah, blah. Okay, so the judge says, let's go ahead and set a control date of 60 days out, whatever that would be. Then they figure out what the date is. And then, so the judge comes back and says, all right, we're going to do this July 9th at 1:45 for the control date, and asking Mr. Bublé if that's okay. And Mr. Bublé's answer, which just tickles me, says, I don't think we really care, Your Honor. And the judge says, okay. But I love that. It's just like, yeah, we'll show up whenever. He's representing this Russian oligarch, Putin's chef, who not only has the he's got a lock on catering, quote unquote, all the schools in Moscow, but they also locked up the contract to provide the Russian military with all their food. So this guy's just printing money.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, the federal government, the American government wants to play with me. I'll go troll them in court by showing up. Honestly, like, the trolling never stops, and I love it. Yeah, I don't think we really care, Your Honor. Just give me a date. This is going to be so much fun. So July 9th, they'll be back in court.
Wow. All right.
For that. And the government will keep dragging its feet, indicting ham sandwiches and companies that didn't exist. Well, this is embarrassing, right? This was look at them. They indicted these 13 Russians and a couple companies.
I mean, I always hate pulling this game, but can you imagine if Ken Starr had done something like this?
I know. It would be everywhere. But no. Yeah. I don't think we really care.
No. I love him so much.
They should send this chick to represent Concord Catering.
Oh my gosh.
Serve the Mueller guys right.
Are you mad at Mueller?
Oh my God, no, I love him so much.
Honestly, that's what the media sounds like.
Well, with that, I think that we're done here.
Yes, that can be enough.
Remember, you can always catch the Enough Already podcast on SoundCloud, Stitcher, TuneIn, iTunes, and YouTube, ladies and gentlemen. There's no excuse. You can find us everywhere. Final thoughts, Tracy?
Love equals 3.3, which is infinity, times light, which is MC squared, which is just really infinity all over again. And that's what love's really all about.
Oh my God, no, I love him so much.
All right. She's Tracy L. Connors. I'm Fingers Malloy. We'll be back next week with an all-new Enough Already.